Howdy everyone. I've finished the dimpling and nut plate installation on the root end of the wing for the wing fairing. So this is of course the ring root end. This is the end that attaches to the fuselage. These are the holes that I've been working on to attach the wing fairing that lays in here. So these are the holes that I've already done. I've already talked about these. The wing is currently upside down, so this is the bottom of the wing. These are the ones that I just completed, and it's basically more of the same. It's really no different than these. A couple of notes, as you can tell, and as I've talked about before, these were dimpled for a number 8 screw, and the holes for the countersink rivets, these are actually machine countersunk. So I did not dimple for the rivets. With you have the thickness of the rib and the thickness of the skin. So I was okay countersinking the small diameter for the rivet. I did not want to do that for the number 8 screw hole because that's just too big of a hole and the material is too thin. And like I said, when you look at the instructions and the print will show you that these take the countersunk type of nut plate. So the nut plate is designed to accept the dimple. So that dictates then that these holes do in fact get dimpled. And then I machine countersunk the rivets. Now on the top side of the wing, you can see these are normal nut plates. Because you have 3 thicknesses, you've got the wing walk doubler, the skin, and the rib. You can go ahead and machine countersink the number 8 hole. So all the holes on the top of the wing are machine countersunk. So the number 8 hole and the holes for the rivets are machine countersunk. I've already talked about all that. So now on to the leading edge of the wing. It's more the same. It's here you only have a single layer of skin. The flange rib doesn't come over far enough. So again, since this is a single thin layer of skin, everything on this gets dimpled. So it's a dimpled number 8 screw and it's dimpled for the rivets. And it's like that all the way around. The only thing that I changed was this rivet right here. This is a pulled rivet, a pulled countersunk rivet. I couldn't get anything in here that I was comfortable with to do a solid rivet, so I just used a countersunk pulled rivet and I filed it down. It had a little bit of a head to it, so I just filed it smooth. So that's about it. These are the dimpled nut plates that I talked about over on this skin here. You can see what they look like here. So all of these holes then just get dimpled, drilled to full size and dimpled. And then I went ahead and did my nut plate here. This had already been drawn out when it was on the wing, so it was just a matter of drilling the holes and installing the nut plate. So now this is all done. I think what I'll do next, I'll move on to the actual fairings. Now I'm not, at this point in time, I'm not going to trim them. You can see I've got my trim line here. I don't think I'm going to do that quite yet. But I think I will go ahead and edge finish everything and drill these out to full size and dimple them. And I think that's where I'll stop. And then I'll put this away. And I'll come back and revisit this later when I'm more in the mood, or maybe like way down the road when I go to install them just before paint. I'll verify that this trim line is correct. I don't know. I just don't feel like doing all that right now. I want to move on to the fuselage. I'm getting tired of working on the wings again. So I think I'll just drill these and dimple them and worry about the rest of it later. So that's the plan right now. As you know, things change by the minute, so we'll see what comes up next. Howdy, everyone. Alrighty, so I've got the wing fairings are now finished. I went ahead and finished the fairings, even though I was on the fence about doing it. I figured might as well go ahead and finish them completely, wrap it up, and be done with it. So I trimmed the edges on the fairings that I had laid out. I had laid out my black Sharpie marker line on the edge that meets the fuselage. I went ahead and trimmed all of that back, finished it off really nice. Obviously, I final drilled the holes and I dimpled them, and then I used my edge rolling tool and put a little bit of a break around the outside edge all the way around. I didn't break the inside edge because this is the edge that gets your rubber filler, if you will, that goes between the fairing and the fuselage. So I didn't put any kind of break on that edge, but the rest of it's got the break all the way around. So these are done. These, I don't know what I'll do. Maybe I'll roll them back up a little bit like they came, take them back in the basement, but these are done. I had also another loose end that I wanted to investigate. I had, these are the push-pull tubes for the ailerons. So these are the tubes that connect directly to the controls in the fuselage, and the other end connects to the wing bell crank. I had adjusted these out in the garage to set the ailerons in trail with the stick, the control stick vertical. And I needed to ensure that I had enough threaded into the fitting on both tubes at both ends. And you can see here, this one is not too bad, but this one's got a lot of thread showing. And I actually removed these. I removed them. Of course, I counted the number of turns. I tried to leave the jam nut in place, so that was kind of a guide so I can get it back in where it came from. But especially this one, there's a decent amount of threads, but there wasn't half. I know the going standard seems to be to have half of the threads installed or threaded into the fitting. And I think the majority of that, again, is such that the tube can't unscrew itself. But if I was happy with the number of threads on the fitting, I would just make a spacer like I did on my other push-pull tubes that I talked about in another video. But I just don't get the warm, fuzzy feeling. There's a good amount of thread threaded into this one. Just not feeling it. And I don't want to fly like that. So I've bought 2 more rod end fittings that are longer, have longer studs. So I'll put one on each of these. The other end will just have the normal rod end that came with the kit. I'll get the new longer rod end and put one in each of these. And then ultimately I'll re-rig these into the plane just like I had done initially. I'll re-rig them just to make sure that the lengths are correct. And if I've got threads sticking out that I'm not comfortable with, I'll make spacers. But I'll definitely have enough threaded into the fitting to be happy. So now that loose end is tied up. So these will probably go temporarily. I'll put these back in the wings just for storage. But at this point, I believe I am now done fooling with the wings. Again, they're not finished because I still have to fit the wing tips. But I'm not going to fool with that right now. I'm going to save all that fiberglass work for later. So I think I'm going to yet again rearrange the shop. I'm going to move the wings back behind the fuselage, back by the garage door to give me more space in this area of the shop. And then I'm going to go back to working on the fuselage. And the first thing that I'm going to do, I believe, is I have to reinstall a couple of nut plates here that I had removed. I got to reinstall those nut plates. That way I can put my new tunnel cover manual flap deal. I can put that in, but before I do that, I have to do some work on this push-pull tube. I just want to make sure the threading is good, and I need to lock down the jam nuts. I've got to modify my bell crank pivot here so that I can fit my pitch servo to it. I've got to put this cover plate through here. This is my pitch servo. I got to fit this cover plate. So ton of work to do in here, but like I said, I think I'll start with getting these couple of nut plates in, working with the tube, and try to get this center area wrapped up. I've got some new fuel line coming. I don't have enough to finish these runs in here. Like I said, I had mangled half of it. So I had to buy some more, and I'm waiting on that. But in the meantime, like I said, I can work with this center tunnel area. So, all right, that's enough yip yap. I'm just, like I said, just trying to wrap up some loose ends and get some stuff installed permanently, and looking forward to that. So good times, and I will talk to you guys later.